We're gonna swim, bike, and run in the corner sun. We're gonna swim, bike, and run in the corner sun. 2021.
Thank you, Poncho Man. Welcome everybody to Breakfast with Bob, not quite Kona edition. My name is Bob Babbitt. We are brought to you by Challenge North America, Credo Try. You can. Hoka One One, Velo Fix, Normatec Canyon Bikes, and of course, our Challenge Athletes Foundation. Just 2 weeks ago, we sent out 3,038 grants totaling $5.1 million to keep Challenge athletes in the game of life through sport. Our next guest, as we get ready for Ironman 70.3 St. George, is Carrie Lester. Carrie, how the heck are you doing?
I'm doing well, Bob. How are you?
I am wonderful. So you're in the garage, packing your bike, getting all ready to go to St. George. St. George is sort of a sprint for you.
Well, I guess so. We're slowly getting into, the distance where I prefer. We've started Daytona and Miami. We're both races that were far too short for me. So we're stepping it up just a little bit. And then hopefully by the middle of the year, we'll see some full distance events happening for me.
So when you look at 2019, you come off of 2019 as probably your greatest year, right? You had Ironman wins at Ironman France, Ironman Mont Tremblant, Ironman Cozumel, 8th in Kona, and oh, by the way, you win Vancouver. So, I mean, that's a career in 1 year, right? Yeah. So you come off of that, and then 2020 hits, and boom, everything's gone. How tough has this year been for you, knowing how fit you were coming off of 19?
Yeah, it was definitely a challenging year in a few ways. I mean, 2019 was by far, that was my career best year, without a doubt. And yeah, we had plans, to have, a great 2020, and, I turned 40 this year. So, I knew that sort of, 2020, 2021, maybe, these were going to be my last couple of years as racing professionally. Scotty and I, obviously, we want to have kids. So we were kind of at that point where I was still very motivated to train. Mm-hmm. And, I wanted to, keep going with that momentum for another, year or two if I could. And then, we would make the decision about, having a break and maybe, going down that road of kids. But, 2020 came and for me, it was like, oh, well, what do I do? What do we do? Like, is this where we call it quits? And, I know, a few other female athletes, were in that same kind of position, they're around my same age, and actually right. A couple of them have gone ahead and had kids. Yep. So that's great for them. But, so we were in that kind of same, line of thinking, what do we do? So we spent, a lot of the year just trying to figure out what we were going to do and where we were going to go. Both Scotty and I with the sport, like, were we going to continue or, what happened? And then as we just started training more, we kind of got the motivation back. The motivation hasn't really come back for Scotty. He hasn't really come out and said that he's retired, but for him, he has pretty much, retired from racing. He's training with me. He's still, swimming and riding with me. Right. And, he's taking up other activities. So he used 2020 as very much a transitional year. Yep. Whereas I was kind of in that stage where, like, am I transitioning into maybe a mother, or am I, just using the year to sit back and just look at the sport and, do I want to continue? And, after 2019, like, can I do that again? Yeah. So that's a very, very long answer to your question, but there was a lot of things going on in that year.
Well, and what's fascinating is you guys are coaches. And I know how important your athletes are to you. You knew if you were struggling and Scotty was struggling, without racing, there's no goalposts for your athletes. They don't know, what are they getting ready for? So how did you use what you were going through to help them stay sane?
Yeah, listen, we all used each other. We took that step back as being, the professional athletes of, our coaching business. And we all just, we were a real team, for 2020 and it will continue. We always have been, but I guess, the circumstances of COVID just really brought, everyone in our team together where we were all encouraging each other, through Facebook group, chats or, we had Zoom calls and just talking, to our athletes. So it was, we knew the struggles that everyone was going through without races. It was just really challenging. But I think that the thing that I loved to see the most out of COVID was the athletes that were so focused on racing, they had to have races to be motivated. That, kind of went away, and they really just enjoyed training and just really the lifestyle of fit and healthy and, training for just the mental and physical, benefits of it. So they took that step back and really appreciated what they did rather than just always focusing on the race and training and but being really like obsessive about it. They just took that step back and it became more of a lifestyle choice for them. So that was really, really cool.
So when I look at your career, and what I love about everything you've accomplished is you go from being, a sprinter, like it's something that takes under 15 seconds, to doing the longest races on earth. And I think it was 2018 Embrunman, which I think sort of sums you up, where it's about 4,500 meters of climbing. It's just a brutal, brutal race. And you crashed, 4.5 hours into a race that's going to take, I'm guessing, like 9-10 hours, right?
It's over 10 and a half is a great time.
Well, you didn't just crash, but you back, ribs, and you're sort of out in the middle of nowhere. And all you had with you was some ibuprofen. And was there a thought that I better hitch home, or you knew you just had to keep going?
The funny thing about that race, Bob, is that I was given race number 13 as my bib number.
Yes.
So I was like, who gives out number 13 as a bib number? Yeah. Anyway, so I don't know. I just had this feeling, during the race that like something was going to happen. I don't know what it was. And the funny thing is where I actually crashed, it was a flat section. So I had done most of the hard climbing, and I crashed on a flat section. I was in my time trial bars, and I just hit a bump and, went straight off into a ditch, but I fell onto my back onto a rock. So it took a little while. I stood up and I realized like nothing was broken. I was in pain, but nothing was, broken. And then I looked at my bike, and like you said, you're out in the middle of nowhere. So instantly I was thinking that I can't really get any help. So, I looked at my bike. The only thing that was broken was the shifting. But I had shifting on the hood. So I was like, well, I can still ride the bike. Nothing, I can finish the bike at least and get myself back to transition. That's all I was focused on, just get back to transition. And then we'll go from there. So that was the plan. I got back, and then I thought, okay, well, I'll just start running. I'll see how I feel.
It's a marathon, right?
It's a marathon.
It's not.
So I was about 800 milligrams of ibuprofen in, and I got to probably the last 10 miles of the run, and I was in a lot of pain. When all of that had worn off, I was in a lot of pain.
And you ended up winning.
I did win.
That's That's unbelievable. That is.
I wanted to win that year so badly.
Why?
You know, we had, I don't know, it's just like that race for me is, it is extremely challenging. Mentally and physically, it's just extremely challenging.
Yeah.
And I had won it before. I think the year before that, 2017, I may have been second.
Yeah, you won in 16 and 18.
Tina Deckers, I think. So I've had like 5 attempts at that race. The first one I didn't finish. I flattered and I had some mechanical issues. So that was just a bad year. But then I went back and won. Then I was second. And then, that year I just really wanted to win it. And getting that race number 13 for me was like, I am going to do everything possible to prove that number wrong. And when I crashed, I was like, oh my God, like this can't be happening. Like, you got to be kidding me. So I was determined to do everything possible to win if, you know, I was in that condition that I could, but you know, I don't know. It was that adrenaline. It was the adrenaline that got me through that. It had to have been.
So St. George next week. And to me, that course suits you because it is a challenging bike. And they say it's like the hardest half marathon on the circuit.
I am very excited to be racing a course with hills.
Yes. I see. It's so funny because seeing you at Daytona or at Miami is like seeing some great trail runner, right? Standing at the start of the New York City Marathon. You're like, what are you doing here? There's no dirt here. There's no climbing. There's, at least in Miami, there's a little wind, right? You had a bike handle a little bit, but otherwise it's put your head down and go. And you did great. I mean, you were 13th in Miami. And you did great. You did 13th in Miami is fine in a race that really doesn't suit you, right? So the fact you get through those and then you get to go to something like St. George, where it's mountainous, it's pretty, there's lots of climbing, especially coming out of transition, I think in both the bike and the run. This is your element.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. And it's definitely given me some new motivation, over the last 5 weeks since Miami. I was pretty disappointed with that race. Probably not so much the race result itself, but just, I mean, I just can't seem to perform at that kind of race. And, just
way too short. It's like
way too short.
Cocktail weenie for you. Come on. That was like an appetizer. If you could have again, they come out, hey girls, let's go do this again. Then it's another game.
I think for me, it's just always been like, I'm so motivated by the races where it's like you're against the course, Yes. So I want a challenging course. Single lap courses are great. I know it's difficult to have those because of the race logistics. I understand all of that, but you're against the course. Every athlete on, for their own, that just, and grind it out. That's what I like. That's why I've always thrived in those races, like Embrunman and, Von Two Man and, all of the races, most of them actually over in Europe, because their courses are just so hard. They don't take the easy way. There might be a flat way around the lake, but they will go over the mountain just because they want to make it so challenging. That's what I love about them.
Yeah, exactly. So with Collins Cup coming up, and you're 9th, I think, right now on international. So what do you need to do to get to Samarin?
Yeah, it's obviously bringing a lot of chatter at the moment, within the professional ranks. And there's a lot of time between now and
there is
July, or when the cutoff is in July. So there is still a lot of racing that can be done. And, I'm not an athlete that is going to choose. I mean, I'm going to choose the best races that I can that are going to allow me to have the best chances of selection.
Right.
If the race doesn't suit me, then obviously I'm not going to go to that race. but there is definitely a little bit of opportunity coming up, you know, here in the United States.
Yeah.
Over the next couple of months. So I need to perform at those races. That's basically it, Bob. I mean, there's nothing else that I can do. I can try and get myself into the best shape possible, and I can turn up and race from now until July and put myself in the best position to do that. If I can get back to the form that I was in 2019, you know, I mean, I should be able to get myself, you know, onto that team, or, you know, very close. If I don't get onto the team, then I'm going to go and pick another race in August that suits me. And I already know what that's going to be. So
what's that going to be?
I'm not going to tell you what that's going to be.
Oh, come on. Nobody's watching. We don't have any viewers. Come on now. You can tell me.
But no, there's plenty of, there will be race opportunities in August. I'd love to be a part of the Collins Cup. You know, it's going to be, you know, an exciting time for our sport, and I'd love to be a part of that. But you know, I can only make the decisions that I can make and race what I race. Yeah. And if I get the result that I'm hoping for, then great. And if I don't, I'll, you know, continue on.
Well, what's cool is that we can say that there'll be plenty of racing.
Well, I think so. I feel good about it.
I do too, especially in the U.S. We're talking about Tulsa, we're talking about races in Texas and Florida, and obviously here in Utah. So there's going to be some racing, which it's funny. A month ago, I would have said, we're not going to have much in the U.S., but maybe there'll be stuff in Europe, and sort of things have turned around. There's a lot here now.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're going to have a summer of racing.
What could be better than that?
It sounds good to me.
Hey, Carrie, best of luck at St. George. Always a pleasure to get to chat with you. Give my best to Scotty, and hopefully we'll see you up in Pine Valley sometime soon.
We'll be out there, Bob.
You guys go to Mr. Frosty when you're done riding?
No. We're parked all the way back. We've got to ride all the way back, Bob.
You got to stop at Mr. Frosty in Pine Valley. It is the best. Carrie Lester has been our guest. Breakfast with Bob. This is the Not Quite Kona edition. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Carrie, thank you so much.
Thanks, Bob.
Pleasure.